evening. This is the January 10th meeting of the City Council Appointments Subcommittee, 5 o'clock. In the well, we'll just take roll call. Omar.
Here.
Joe McCoy. Okay, so we're gonna start with the approval of the minutes. We have 3 sets of minutes. First one I'll do is October 17th. Any questions or well, you wrote them,
right?
And I thought they were fabulous.
Thank you.
And Omar wasn't here.
Yeah.
So you want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of
Second.
October 17.
Second. All in favor?
I abstain.
Aye. Okay. Motion passes. Minutes of December 19th.
Is this the one where I put manhandled?
Yes, that was good. That's going in the Minutes Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
All of us were at this one. Any questions or comments on those minutes? I'll take a motion.
So moved. Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Abstain. Whatever the other one is. Motion passes. 3. And January 2nd.
I'll make a motion to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain, motion passes. That is it for the minutes. We also have public speak time. The mayor is here. Mayor, would you like to say a couple of words?
Yeah, so I just wanted to address the Community Relations Committee and those, the appointments that I put forward. I put forward the full 11 folks. And one of, I think, every single appointee, I was so pleased with the quality and high level of interest. One of the appointees does not live in Easthampton and is therefore not a registered voter. So I have withdrawn all of the appointees because I really want them to come forward as a full body of 11.
Okay.
And we still had applications coming in. I never closed that until the full appointment process was through. So I'll be interviewing some other applicants in the coming days to see if they're interested. I was hoping to have an applicant or another appointee to come forward again by today at noon, and just schedules and getting into, I want to have the face-to-face interview.
Right. Okay. Do you anticipate any of the remaining 10 changing?
Nope.
Okay.
No, we've confirmed. My office has called the remaining 10 and just explained,
Okay.
there's a pushback. It's, without prejudice against any of the appointees. It's administrative oversight on my office's part, and we'll go forward.
Okay. All right, and so that has been included in the meeting for next week's, the official.
Yes, I wrote a quick memo just saying that we've pushed that back. I've asked to withdraw and we'll resubmit. It won't be heard again. I'll resubmit for the February 6th meeting, which is, it's unfortunate, but because there was some training and whatnot we were setting up for that committee and for the public about how it operated.
Okay. Everything will just get shifted.
It'll just get shifted, and some of the folks are from the eastern part of the state, so with weather, hopefully it's further down the line.
Okay.
But that won't be put together until we get through the full appointment process and there's a full vote of the council.
And in going back through, have you gone through the remaining 10 for voter and residency requirements?
Also.
Okay. All right. So we will not make any votes tonight on those. Those will then defer till next Wednesday for the purposes of this audience. The new list will be submitted for the February 6th City Council. The City Council will then move that to this committee, which would meet on the 14 plus 6 is 20, on the February 20th, at which point that's when the votes will be taken to move it back to full council, which will be that same night for final approval. Okay, got it. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Appreciate that. Any questions?
Thank you.
You think so, too? No, I don't.
Okay. Did you want to stay for, we're going to talk about the template?
Yeah, I would just, and answer questions and feedback. I'd like to.
On this? On this.
I'm good. good with that.
Okay, so this is kind of the first go-round where they've had copies of the templates you've given me. I don't know if you guys have gone through and have any suggestions, but of course I have highlighted things and stuff, so we can walk through that real quick. So we have the copy of the as-is, that's what it is today. So that we have over here. Then the proposed, when I looked at the proposed, a couple of things. So should we add, given this latest situation?
Yeah.
Easthampton resident, yes, no. Registered voter, yes, no.
So most of our committees do not have that specific definition or requirement of resident and voter. This specific ordinance that we put forward, it's very plain. It's like in the first paragraph. I mean, when I say administrative order, let me be candid. We did not read the ordinance that the chief and I put forward. No, we didn't.
Missed that little line.
Because we have folks who are on different committees that don't live within the city. I would say it's more of an exception and of a technical nature, or it's a board that had turnover and a person with a lot of experience on the board stayed on even though they moved out of the area or out of the city. So I mean, I like the flexibility and have no regrets, will not seek an amendment to the ordinance around resident and voter.
No. Where I'm coming from actually is not that it's a requirement, it's information they're giving us. We can ignore it, we can use it, we can apply it to an ordinance that has those requirements, but I thought it was just data.
Right, so there are, I don't know how many committees have that requirement. We're redoing all of the committees and lists and how we store information, really in large part, just so we have like emails and cell phones, update the process in general. We don't automatically collect that or get that off of the application. So it's one of the pieces of information we're looking for is what other committee has been created with the resident, and or voter requirement. I'm certainly, I have no.
Your concern is only that becomes a requirement.
Yeah.
I'm suggesting we have it as, I would prefer they respond to it because it doesn't mean anything really until it means something, and then we don't have to go back and vet everyone. It's just there.
No, I see. And the other thing we're thinking about out of the mayor's office around this is, we get a lot of inquiries. I want to be involved. I want to do this. This is what I like, and or this is what I'm interested in. And then as we talk through the website, if they have specific questions, they're like, oh, well, EDIC, that sounds really interesting. I don't need to be in a, just for not knowing. And if they said, oh, community relations committee sounds really interesting, that would be a piece of information we need. And maybe do a cover letter of like, for this community you need this or that, or
I would be, I guess my first instinct is be against the voter registration data. It just seems a little bit, participation suppression. I just think some people, I'm not a registered vote, that's embarrassing or whatever. Yeah. And I think because there are rare exceptions like this one where it's required, vast majority it's not, and I wouldn't want to think it's a great way actually to pull someone in and get them involved, I should be registered to vote. I almost think it's better that way. And I know there's been talk at the charter committee for some of the regulatory boards, planning, ZBA, that you should be a resident. And then things like, ECA Plus and stuff now, so there's been some talk about charter changes for regulatory boards.
What do you think, Omar? I kind of feel like I want the Easthampton residency, but I totally get where you're coming from on the voter question. That one I think could probably.
I think for the resident of Easthampton, for us, it's going to be easy because you have to put address in the application.
Unless you put your business address like someone did.
Oh. I didn't know.
Yeah.
So, I just was thinking about all the applications have the address.
Pretty much say Easthampton, Mass. Yeah.
Okay.
But some people do put like a business address, just for privacy.
Just privacy, yeah.
And
Okay.
Listening to what Joe just said, there is something to say. we're not there when we know what we made on the application, but we're not there when the person is reading it or how they'll perceive it. Or our
For both?
residency.
Or just?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm
Yeah, I
not
also-
erasing it yet because I still want to kind of think about it. But I see what you're saying.
And I'm drifting to like past conversations that we've had on the council and safe cities and residency and citizens and what that means, and
Yeah.
it's not interchangeable. Such a provoking statement, President. No, I mean that's yeah. Well, how would that be?
Participation suppression. I'm putting that on a pillow.
Yeah.
No, I that's very compelling, actually.
Yeah. No, I mean and
It seems really simple, like just ask them if they live
Yeah.
here, and then it becomes really muddy.
yes.
Okay. Do you know anyone who lives in Easthampton? No. Okay. Then there were some new questions that were asked. The first one being, why do you seek appointment to this board or committee? Which is not, I guess it's not on here. It's just what I ask when I call them. So that's why I was like,
Yeah.
where is it? But yeah, so I like that question actually.
And it came up a lot in the interviews I've done for different committees of, not applicants are surprised by it, but it gives them kind of a heads up.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, yeah, and in this case, that's a logical question to ask. Hey, why do you want to be on this committee? Do you have a gift? Do you have a skill? Do you have
and if somebody gives us a
experience?
cover letter, sometimes it's just
It's right in there.
Yeah, they do, but sometimes it's about they really like agriculture and they love it, not necessarily why they would want to serve on a committee. So
Okay.
I do often have to ask the follow-up question.
Do you guys have any
No,
feelings
I
about
think
that
that's an
question?
important thing. Why you want to be on it. I mean, there's a lot of people. Some people it's a social outlet. Not that you would write that down, but that's all it is, And I think they're all valid reasons. So it'd be interesting.
Yep. Okay, so no objection to that one? Okay. Then there was one that I wordsmithed a little. What do you hope to bring to this board or committee if you are appointed? I changed it to what skills and experience do you hope to bring to this board or committee if you were appointed? Thoughts on that? Like that, I think also. Have you been reading the notes that I make when I call people? That's the other thing. Like what, you want to be on this committee and what, do you have any special gifts or, skills that we can really put you to some work?
Do you think that maybe should be combined with the first one since they're so similar? Why do you want to be on this committee and what's special other than or
If somebody were to put on an application, social outlet, but then had experience on zoning as a lawyer,
yeah.
There might be. Also, too, it's surprising when I talk to people how, their experience, they discount their experience.
Yeah.
They're like, well, I was on the PTO. And I was like, well, okay, so you deal with groups of people, and when you're in these committees, it can be,
Yeah.
how you
Traffic
relate to
control.
them. Right.
My concern, I think I remember you mentioned that once before, Mayor, that I don't want to dissuade anyone who has no interest except I want to be involved.
Yeah.
And so I'm not a CPA, I'm not this, I'm not that. I guess I really can't. It's like you want to serve, you should have a shot. And maybe there's going to be someone better qualified who wants the same position, but because your reference was ZBA, right? You had no experience.
I had no experience. I had no, idea of it was interesting, and it was a little. I was worried about the technical component, and I think our city clerk Barbara kind of sealed the deal. I'll just walk you through it. We need somebody. And
Here's how this will work.
Right. So, yeah, and it was a great experience. I stayed on it for 10 years. It was
Really?
yeah.
Perhaps I missed that memo. Well, yay. So I don't know, what do you guys, so do you think asking that question at all? Or do you think the original way that didn't say skills and experience, it just said, what do you hope to bring to this board or committee? Should we go back to that? Why do I even bother changing this stuff? Because it's perfect
So
the way it
the
is.
other, with the legal background, tend to be very comfortable with disclaiming, paraphrasing, sub-compound sentences, and try to use
Simple.
clear, and open-ended words. So I mean, that's why I went. I don't remember that moment I wrote it, but that's when I went with that language. And I could have just pasted and cut it from. I mean, I looked at 6 or 7 other communities, and was also trying to figure out, thinking down the road of how to do like a Google form on our website or even Facebook page, and not just a. The form now is an editable PDF. Like you could download the free software. You can do that, but like the Google, and I don't know who, someone, maybe it was you, who said couldn't we just do a form and people could like get through those questions? So I was kind of trying to think of what works in that format.
Because this is the original application form, right? Which none of us had. Our biggest problem has always been reappointments.
And that's what's embedded in here.
Later down,
It will all become one now.
Okay.
We don't need to do a special one, but it will capture. So let me ask you this: is today the process for reappointment is basically, do you want to be reappointed? An email, do you want to be reappointed? Yes, I do, and then they're in?
So it was for a big group of them at the end of the calendar year. And then there were just some questions about some of the members of if they were around, if they were moving, if they, what their ability, like if someone doesn't come to a meeting, okay, that happens, but, just kind of sorting it out. So calling people, it was more of a process in December to just say, hey, Nicole, are you still interested or whatnot? We've noticed, you haven't attended or whatnot, but not formal. And that'll change. I mean, through the charter review, I see the appointment process or the questions that are in there of, yes, it's a reappointment, but under the charter, it's an appointment. I mean, sure, I can say, for instance, I am seeking re-election, but it's election. Like I'm, all of us are on the table. I mean, sure, re-election is one thing, but it's still an election. You're still asking for the vote, and that's what I was thinking there. Reappointment, I think people need to see that to kind of like
be more active than passive and continue.
Yeah, to understand, like, oh, do I want to continue?
Yeah.
But it's still when it comes down to it.
Like a pause button. So then your process will then have to be, for all the reappointments you submit, you're going to have one of these.
Yeah, so there's we do a letter for folks who sit on the current committee, committees, and say it's very quick. The next round, like going forward, if we agree on whatever the new form is, it'll be 2 pieces of paper. And it'll be, thank you for serving. Would you like to continue your service? If so, please, fill out the attached form, fax, scan, take a picture, text, and get this back to us. And then the appointment process, just like somebody brand new decides, they want to put it forward. So it's consistent, and how people think about the commitment.
And so the 2 questions that kind of typify the reappointment are, if you are currently serving on this board or committee, why do you want to be appointed again? That seems to make sense to me. The second one, I'm not sure how we would police this. If you are currently serving on this board or committee, have you been able to attend meetings regularly? I mean, you could say yes, even if it's no.
Well, and that was the one thing I hear from chairs of the committees, the appointed committees, is attendance can be frustrating. It's not like calling the principals, but it's just like there's a lot going on, or Board of Public Works, there's 3. It's hard, this one, there's 3. If somebody's not here, sure, it's a quorum. I remember on the zoning board, that's a big board, and quite a few times we'd have to say, so there's not 5 of us, so you need all of us, or so do you want to continue with this hearing? Do you want us to continue it without prejudice until we have a full board, which clogs up the situation? But that's probably the biggest. When I talk to chairs of the committee, it's about attendance. Can we make it bigger? you know, or if we make it smaller to get a quorum. So that's why I put that on there. It's an awkward question.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, you know, how to police it. A lot of times the question, if we're talking to applicants, you know, they'll say, so the meeting is every, you know, first Tuesday at 6 o'clock. Well, especially at the end of the year. Well, what is now, but the first of the year, like, people might change it.
Right.
You know, and, you know, can you do that? Or, so I wanted to put something, but that's the part of that question I think is clunky, and policing it would be tough. I don't.
If you're currently serving on this board or committee, do you find attendance challenging?
Yeah, or, you know, what was on the original form? Was there anything?
You
about-
didn't have anything really about. Just have you served on any other board in the past? If yes, what are the years served?
It's just. Yeah, I don't.
Well, actually, the other one says for any of them, and we have it on this one too. Are you aware of the board's time commitment and are available on its regular meeting day? So it's kind of up there.
I mean, that last question, it's awkward. I mean, I put it in to try to, I don't know, capture something of saying, look, if you're going to serve again, like, you know, attendance is important. And also, again, of the chairs, like, the one thing is, it's just attendance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, so you have 9 people, you know, like EDIC is a big one, and to get 9 people to find a time in their schedule that they can all be there every single week is tough.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, I appointed one person to EDIC, and it took her 2 meetings to just change slowly her schedule over so she could be there. And then she's there all the time, but she's like, I want to be appointed, but I need, she opened some school.
Shuffle something.
Yeah, and she commuted, so that's.
Well, and I also think we might want to say, like, for reappointments only, these 2 questions. Because if you're a new person, you've already answered, I get that it's going to be meeting.
No, the bottom half of the form, you know, it's clunky.
Yeah.
And it's not super clear.
Right. So,
I don't think so. It doesn't flow.
correct. So from a formatting perspective, we can probably play around with everybody fills up to here, and then reappointments, you fill up these, and then everybody signs it. What do you guys think about that question? Have you been able to attend meetings regularly?
I think it's good information to know, you know, and I don't want people to think, oh, I missed 2, I guess I'm out, you know, but
Yeah.
But at the same point, you know, it is, if someone has missed them all,
Maybe we move that question again down to the reappointments. Are you aware of this board's time commitment? Just have them re-answer it.
Mm-hmm.
Because either way, so if they say no, would that wouldn't necessarily be I might say no. I haven't been able to attend them well, I guess regular would be every other at least, yeah.
And again, the chairs of these committee, if somebody like has not made a lot of meetings, once it was just out of concern for the person, like, hey, do you know, like we haven't heard from, or you know, we don't have an email for. Like, that's the other thing is making sure that the chairs have all the emails automatically of the members of their committee, so if things change, and sometimes they do.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
but just to make sure, and then making sure that we have it. So if it's the vice chair that has to get a hold of everybody, we or they can do a group email to say we're now in, you know, conference room 1 and not in basement. So.
And we brought this up last time, I mean, I haven't followed up on it, but I think it would be too cumbersome to give every chair an Easthampton MA email. But I thought maybe we could have chair boards and committee at Easthampton MA, and then under the subject line put planning board. And so that if we wanted to send the, you know, and then have the chairs they get, I don't know how, but they can access that email address. And it would go to every chair. But if it says that the topic line is planning board, we can say, hey, such and such is up for, do you have any concerns?
I mean, the second benefit to that too is, I mean, planning board chair doesn't necessarily realize that something's going on with zoning, or Concom.
Yeah, so they could see what
Right.
conversation.
I mean,
Right. And the other thing too is we were, when we had that meeting, contact the chair, find out what the board's about. How? There's no telephone number, there's no email address.
Yeah.
So if there was at least chair, and then they could put subject board, agricultural commission, and the question could be there, and it could, sometimes it's coming from us asking about everything, or sometimes it could be from the public, just saying, hey, what do you guys do, when's your next meeting? So I was meaning to act. I would think we just had one email, like that might be something.
yeah, that we could, and just have, right, I mean, because there are emails, mayor@easthamptonma.gov, there are 3 people who have access to that email. It's not difficult, and it's not a huge cost for emails, but it can add, every penny counts.
That way, it'd be a good thing we want to address for maybe 20 people, I don't know how many boards we have.
A lot. Yeah, and also figuring out with chairs how people, so email, but how people call them. Like a lot of times, I was like, oh, call the chair. Like, what's the number?
Where?
And we don't have it in a form. I mean, you're a chair, it's a part of the process to be public, but, looking, we're sitting in the office, it's like, so we're pretty sure this is a person's cell phone, or maybe it's a work phone.
Yeah.
Like, are we giving this out? And we call and say, hey, so-and-so's interested, or...
Yeah, safe, that's safer.
Yeah. But to have them on a form, like, this, your chair or whatever, this is going to be public,
Yeah.
or we're going to hand this out,
Yeah.
and making sure that they give us the right number.
The good thing with the chair email, city email address, their personal information stays private. They have access.
They're anonymous.
Right, so
Yeah.
they can have
And
access
just
to
as
it.
planning, or...
Unless they sign their name, but that's their...
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. So
I'll
how-
follow up with Ashley again. That's his name, right, Ashley?
Ashley Barstow. Yep.
Yep.
Dave Barstow.
I will keep that question there.
Yeah, you want to keep that,
Yeah.
the one about attendance?
Yes, because basically that too is telling the people, hey, this is a big commitment.
This matters.
Yeah, this is a big commitment.
I mean, do we put something on there around telephone number and email and say, it's contact information, but, I don't know, it's bulky.
Well,
if
we have it, I mean, it's up here,
But
so it's part
we-
of the thing.
We don't have so when we get those applications, like, I'll contact somebody, but if, say, you called, like, as a gentleman, I don't know, so, I apply, I end up chair of planning, somebody calls and says, look, I'm trying to get a hold of planning, we don't pull that application and say, oh, the number is 413, like, because I feel we haven't asked, can we share this number publicly? Like, what is your public what is your public content?
So they may think it's just for who's ever going to nominate them for the board.
Yeah, yes, it's public and foilable, but this is not, so here's an email, I haven't heard back on the email, I want to talk to Nicole, what's the phone number? We don't give out phone numbers like that. We try to call the planning board chair and say, hey, this person's trying to get a hold of you, wants a little more information about serving, what number should we give them, or say this is the number and let them make the choice. So I don't know, I mean, you see that on forums, it's like, what's your public contact info? I don't know, that just popped in my head.
I just want to see if there's anything in these other ones. Now, Northampton just says, when they ask for homework and cell. Good luck with that. And South Hadley asks for home phone and other phone. What is the best way, it says, what is the best way to
Yeah.
contact you? Please provide the information for 1 or 2, and then it has home phone, other phone, email. Maybe that I like that. What is the best way to contact you?
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, so if they want to do no phone and do email, or vice versa. I mean, if I'm given that option, I always choose phone and then text.
Yeah. You okay?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. We don't text though. I suppose we could say text, but no. Phone,
Yeah, no, I'm just, yeah.
email. Okay. I like that. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Let me see what these say about. This one doesn't go into. It has the, have you ever served on another board, which one? And then Northampton has, are you currently serving or have you served on any city committee? Yes, no. If yes, please state what committee. So it sounds like if you're currently serving, you have to fill this out again. Oh, and then they have diversity questions. Interesting. Okay. They also have a disclaimer, I don't know if you saw this. They also have a disclaimer about once this form is submitted, it becomes a public document. If there is information you do not want open to the public, please do not include it on this form. Maybe we should have something like that too.
I do remember that, and I didn't put, I couldn't figure out how to fit it, but I kind of have a cover letter mapped out, like for folks who have served and we're sending out that letter that includes that, but I don't think that's a bad idea at all.
Yeah.
And certainly with the comments from this meeting, I'll have Lindsay in my office reformat this, and I'm sure she can.
Yeah, I mean, they go
Much more adept than me.
They go so far as to say that if you are appointed to the committee, board, or commission, it means that you are considered a municipal employee under MGL chapter yada yada, and thereby subject to conflict of interest laws, financial disclosure, as well as open meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just saying all this applies.
It's good
Now,
information.
it's a disincentive for people who don't want to do it, are concerned about that, but it's also kind of to anyone who maybe thinks this is private, that it's not.
Right.
Ultimately, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, I think that language makes a lot of sense.
Can I ask Lindsay to reformat that if this, or should I do it myself and then
No, give me the, yeah. No,
tell her kind of what we're
I mean,
looking
because I have that form already in our files.
for? Okay, then I can just tell her kind of what.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So here's what I think we should do. We'll take kind of all these suggestions. I'll work with Lindsay to get a reformatted one. We'll bring it back, we'll talk about it, and we'll see if we can land, maybe on the next meeting, maybe not, on a final version.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
And I'll talk to Ashley and hopefully come up with
An email? That'd be good. Okay. Any other questions, concerns, comments? Okay, hearing none. I'll take a motion to close the meeting. Adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Have a lovely evening, Easthampton.